Welcome to County Line, a public policy program on issues affecting South Florida. And now the host of County Line, Frank Locanto.
And welcome to this edition of County Line. This will be one in a series of programs on the upcoming election cycles of 2008 that will be upon us before we know it. We'll discuss the elections process, the new paper trail machines, the candidates, ballot issues, and other matters that will be facing the voters in this historic election. We're pleased to have with us some of Broward's brightest and best this morning to guide us through this process. And first of all, let me welcome back, he's here often, the chairman of the Democratic Executive Committee here in Broward County, Mitch Caesar. Mitch.
Hi, Frank. Great to be with you as always.
Well, same here, Mitch, and it's always good to see you. And as we say to all our guests, thanks for taking the time in your busy schedules to come over here and sit with us for a while. A first-time guest, but we know him from around town for quite a while, Clarence Mckee. Clarence, we welcome you. You are representing the Republican Party this morning. You're the communications chair of the executive committee of your party. You also are a principal in Rudin McCluskey Consulting, and so we welcome you.
Well, thank you. It's a great program, and it's a great honor to be here.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you, Clarence. And we also have the mayor of the great city of Weston, Eric Hirsch. Eric, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to have you here, and we have some nice things and interesting things to talk to you about this morning. I did want to, first of all, though, gents, talk about the January 29th presidential primary election. Now, Mitch, all kinds of press on this thing, and I mean, the party seems to be in disarray. Bring us up to date on what you know about the January 29th election as it applies, say, to the Democratic Party.
Well, first, let me say that we really are not in disarray. It may seem like that.
Did I say disarray?
Yes, but that's okay. But it may seem like that to folks. I mean, we're kind of like the typical family. You know, we kind of squabble and fight and see who shouts the loudest. And at the end of the day, we all sit down to the same dinner table and everything works out. Not quite like the Waltons, but somewhat similar.
I don't quite remember it being this contentious, though, with the National Party, with the Florida Democrats.
Well, the greatest misnomer is the fact, and people keep saying this, or some do, and it's wrong, is that their vote won't count. Their vote is going to count. There is going to be an election on January 29th. People are going to go to the polls. People are going to vote for the presidential preference, the candidate of their choice. Those votes will be counted and will be national news about who won, in effect, this preference primary, if you will, on January 29th. What it won't do is connect, as it has in the past, to the actual selection of delegates. That will come later by the Florida Democratic Party, and we believe that process will then be later recognized by whoever the Democratic nominee is. The activists who run will eventually be seated, and I frankly think that, 6 months from now, this will be a blip on the political radar screen as kind of like a family squabble and nothing more. I don't think it'll affect our chances in Florida. I think our folks are very motivated. They will continue to be motivated, frankly, by a four-letter word, and that's BUSH.
Okay. Well, then you're saying then that ultimately the Democratic presidential candidate will have the last say on delegate seating.
Yes, the rules allow the presidential nominee, once you have an apparent nominee, to form committees, and some of the power and authority shifts, as I'm sure it does with the Republicans as well, to the nominee. And we're fairly convinced that we will be made whole as a delegation. We're not really troubled by that.
Clarence Mckee, how are the Republicans approaching this?
Before we get to that, Mitch is obviously in total disagreement with Senator Nelson and Congressman Hastings, who filed a massive lawsuit saying that the National Democratic Party and Howard Dean have disenfranchised black voters and all voters in the state, that they're violating the Civil Rights Act. And it's truly ironic that the votes, people go to the polls in January, their vote's not going to mean anything because the Democratic Party is going to say, no, you can't come in here. They're telling all the candidates, you can come to Florida, treat us like an ATM machine, as Senator Geller says. Take our money, but the candidates know this process can come. So I'm wondering where the NAACP is, the Civil Rights Commission, Jesse Jackson, all these people who came and blasted unfairly the Republican Party in 2000, talking about disenfranchisement. Where are they now supporting Senator Nelson, Senator Hastings. Do you agree with their lawsuit?
I'll give you a rebuttal. Go ahead.
I think when we're asked where are those people, I think the reason they have not come forward is because they don't have the same fears about the Democratic Party as everyone does historically about minority voters. When you look at the Republican presidential candidates who refused to do the Hispanic form, or refused to do the African American form, they've ducked all forms that don't deal with basically the upper class white male, if you were. This is clearly a situation where historically Democrats have worked very hard to encompass and have everyone at the table. We have no doubt, as apparently they don't either, that it will work out fine, and frankly, everyone will be seated, including we have specific set-asides for minorities and so forth. So the fear factor is not there. This is, again, a blip on the screen, and what I'd like to see is the Republicans showing more leadership at showing up at forums as a group, which they've clearly ducked consistently for the last number of months.
I'll give you 30 seconds. Go ahead,
So you disagree
Clarence.
with Senator Nelson and Congressman Hastings' lawsuit? They're totally wrong. Do you disagree with them?
I don't have the fear that you espoused, and frankly, I don't think
It's their fear.
I don't think it's their fear. It's their concern. But nonetheless, history is on the side of the Democrats.
The governor has always been a leader on trying to get meaningful tax reform, and he's now back on the posture of portability, et cetera. Most important in this debate is trying to make sure that education is not harmed at all.
Yeah.
That we need meaningful tax reform at the same time as
Dollars
the governor
stay there.
seeking to protect education. And Broward County's lucky because working with the governor is Steve Geller, and they're very close.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the end of this week, they'll probably get something worked out. The Budget and Tax Reform Commission is really I think the entity that will deal with this, because they're not elected politicians. And I think they're going to come up with something long-term, meaningful, whether it's the constitutional amendment on the ballot or making recommendations to the legislature.
If I can also add on the education front, that's very important, is that there has been this movement, you know, that they keep pushing off to local property.
Exactly.
When the state doesn't want to fund fully their educational responsibilities, they mandate the local school boards to increase property taxes. You know, they blame local government, but, you know, for instance, in Weston, our local government only accounts for less than 7% of the total tax bill. Even if you wipe Weston off the map as a taxing entity, it's not the kind of meaningful. So hopefully, as part of this, they're also going to require the state to fully fund education, which we think we all agree needs to happen.
That's a good point, because tomorrow, well, with this Thursday, October 11th, Superintendent Notter and School Board Chair Gallagher are going before a committee of the Budget and Tax Reform Commission, bringing up those very issues. You know, and we know we need tax reform, but come up with something innovative and creative to help schools.
Oh, that's a great story. Thank you all for coming by, Mitch, Clarence, Dr. Snipes.
Thank you.
That's our program for this time. And thanks again to our guests for sharing their thoughts, their knowledge with us. We'll continue with informational programs right up through the elections of 2008. And remember, be sure to register to vote, support the candidates and issues of your choice, and then cast your ballot at election time. So for all of us and our staff and the School Board of Broward County, Frank LeConto, we'll see you next time on County Line.